Okay, so today's topic is a very simple one. Why I'm not envious of people with more money than I do, and how I suggest everyone else to get over that hump too. I mean, I think it's pretty simple, if I do say so myself. Hey, Zampak here. So today I saw this post on Reddit that I'm gonna post a link below, where the OP basically says, hey, I'm worth like 1.5 mil, and he's asking to all the multimillionaires out there, do you guys feel envious of others with more and more? And how do you guys cope with that feeling? Full stop. I mean, I read this and I was like, okay, I think this is a fair thing to wonder about, because I think at some point in my life I have also asked myself the same question. So let's answer today, and I know I already gave away my spiel in the intro, but that's not really what's important, okay, in my opinion, right? Why is my answer, no, I'm not jealous. That's more important. And even more important, how does that apply, to everybody else, right? Anyway, if you're intrigued by what I might say, please subscribe, like, comment, share all that social media buzzwords, or whatever, because I'm rich enough for me, and I'll be right regardless. Okay, so let's start off with the yes or no answer, right? Obviously, no, I'm not envious. That's probably because I already want for nothing else in my current life. If you've been following FIRE generally states you can spend up to 4% of your net worth every year, right? We as a household do not spend anywhere close to that percentage each year. So basically, we can definitely sustain ourselves indefinitely. Assuming normal market conditions, right? So having another million or another million on top of that, or even another 10 million, let's say, will not actively change anything about our lifestyle. And since both wifey and I actually made our own money, you better believe we would not remotely risk having money slip away from us via terrible methods such as, gambling of all kinds. Yeah, no. Now, being envious, by the way, I think is a personality issue or fault, not a money issue, right? If you're envious, let's say if you have a million and you're envious of somebody with double that, you're going to continue to be that way with a never-ending loop, because somebody's always going to have more than you. That's reality. And just for argument's sake, let's say you make it to the mountaintop. It's Elon Musk right now, right? Trillionaire or whatever. Look at that guy. He is the richest guy on the planet, and still he spends his time fighting with random people on Twitter. I mean, seriously? What a loser. Thinking about that. Being rich does not at all preclude anyone from being a gigantic asshole / loser. So, is that really something you want to aspire to? Now, one huge reason as to why I am not envious of richer and richer people is because, well, I have met some of them, okay? I've shook hands and worked in the area's vicinity of 2 separate billionaires. Sure, that was decades ago, so I'm pretty sure both of them at this point are, even richer than back then. By the way, I met one of them on their yacht, with literally where they had a helicopter parked on top of it. So that is pretty swanky. And yet, having seen what those guys do, my opinion is still no, I am not envious of this lifestyle. What, am I insane? Don't I also want a fancy boat and a helicopter? Am I stupid? No, I don't think so, to be honest, because even those definitely very much richer people than me, okay, then or now, by quite a margin, I don't want to be anything like those dudes, okay? The giant key reason is both of those billionaires were still working. They still had jobs, and they were much older than I am now, and they're still working. I'm nice and comfortable in my early retirement. I would never, ever, ever, ever go back to working, okay? I guess maybe, unless it's for my own company, which was, those billionaires' excuses. I think one of their excuses was that, okay? The other guy was running for president at the time I was meeting him. That's why he was doing the meet and greets. but he was a third-party candidate and he was nowhere near remotely winning. So instead, really all he was doing is having his image completely mocked all over the newspapers and the internet back in the day. So yeah, no, I don't want to be either of those two dudes. Jesus, why would I want to be made fun of constantly for being a rich but out-of-touch douchebag? No thank you, I'm just not that brave. Thirdly, when people say envious, I have to ask, envious of what exactly? What someone else's money could bring them? Why should that matter? You're not that other person, right? Or do you mean what more money would bring to like myself, right? Me. Because if that's the case, hey, I'd have to agree. I mean, I don't know anybody who would actually turn down more money actively, right? I mean, I wouldn't either. Would I like another mil or two or whatever? Sure. But I am not envious of other people's money. The difference here, I think, is important, right? Because if we're talking about money for me, I don't have a problem with, because we all have the human propensity for more, right? That's just natural. We could do with more all the time because it only gives most of us more flexibility and choices in life. But if it's money for me, that means I would have gone and earned it. That is entirely different than my own judgment for money that somebody else has. We actually do know someone else who was fired in our peer group who's richer than us. I think if you look through my old videos, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that dude, right? But our friend's situation, he's a different person with his own needs and motivations and career paths, and now retirement paths, right? So why would I care what that guy has when I couldn't possibly replicate his life decisions or experience? So yeah, you know, to me, it's quite a different thing, right? You cannot just say, I want somebody else's money. What you'll be taking on is like their whole decision-making like lead up to that life. So I don't tend to hypothesize like that, ever. So at the end of the day, right, does having money matter? My God, of course. I'm not downplaying the fact that none of us would have the free time and mental space to look at social media unless we're already, to some degree, materially satisfied, right? I couldn't make all these tiny, small-scale, terribly produced YouTube clips without being relatively materially well off, right? So yes, it matters, but only up to a certain point, right? Would I like another million? I already said sure, why not? But would that extra million or even the extra 10 change how I live? Also absolutely no, not at all, because I'm a fully functioning, competent adult who is not a Nepo baby, so I know the value of what I have already produced. And money is simply a measure of value. If you've earned it, you're much more likely to keep it, right? I already have enough to live on, and it's still growing. That's all I think I will ever need, right? Anything on top of that is just gravy, if you like, you know, salty stuff, or frosting, if you like your sweet stuff, depending on the analogy, right? And quite frankly, when I think about that analogy, too much of either gravy or frosting would be, well, not so great and quite counterintuitive, okay? So, yeah, that's my spiel. Yell at me below if you want to. Cheers, à la prochaine.